Hey guys, and welcome to this impromptu video explaining how to learn the section of the Nordschleife from Hohe Acht, which is just after the carousel, until Pflanzgarten 1 and 2. I'm going to try and give you a quick and easy method to get to grips with that section, which at first glance can tend to feel to most people like just a series of left and right corners they never really learn. So here's my method for learning it. So here is the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and really people tend to be pretty comfortable with the first section if we're ignoring the Grand Prix circuit. There's some high-speed sections. Up to around about here, you're talking about the length of a normal track, certainly from here around to here. Obviously if we add on the Grand Prix track, that's 2 normal tracks. So people's memory isn't too bad at remembering this section. There's not that many corners. But once we get further on into the lab, maybe down into Adenau, Breitscheid Bridge in the town of Adenau, and then further round, it gets harder and harder to remember where you are. But we're learning this section over here after the carousel. So if we use the carousel as a real good marker, it's obviously very clear when you're at the carousel. We're starting from Hohe Acht all the way down to Pflanzgarten 2. Now, the reason we're doing that is because it's a really, really tricky section that people get confused with. It looks like a series of lefts and rights, and the way I'm going to describe it to you isn't going to be really in the shape that it looks like from a map. So use the carousel as a real good marker. You know when you've got there. Once you've left the carousel, once you get to the highest point on the track, or certainly joint highest, which is here, the Grand Prix track is basically the same height actually. But once we get to Hohe Acht, it's pretty much all downhill from here. You're never going back uphill after here. So once you crest the highest point on the track, very shortly after carousel, you're going to know the section that we're talking about. So Hohe Acht, pretty much a 90-degree right over the crest of a hill. It's from that point onwards we're talking about, and that's where we're going to employ the 3 trees method, which was taught to me by James Auld many years ago. So what I mean by the 3 trees method essentially is we're going to imagine that rather than using the actual geometric shape that the track really is there, we're going to break that whole section down into a straight and then drive around a tree, and then another straight and you drive around a slightly bigger tree, and then another straight and you drive around an even bigger tree. So think of it, that whole section, as 3 trees getting bigger and bigger, so small, medium and large, and all you're doing is going right, left, right, and then straight. Right, left, right, straight, and then right, left, right, straight. Now it is obviously more complicated than that, but this, breaking it down this way seems to help people, and it certainly helped me, really isolate that section of track and not get confused about which one of the corners you're at. It's just a case of, okay, first up, we've got the small tree, okay, right, left, right, okay, I've driven round the small tree, short, straight. Next up, we've got the medium tree, right, left, right, we're back on a short, straight. And then the large tree, same again. Now, once we go into more detail, you're going to see actually, it's not really that shape, but it feels like it when you drive it. So let's get on the sim, and I'll try and talk you through that. Okay guys, so I've started the video here at the carousel just to give you a reference of where we are on the track. So, if you're in the carousel, hopefully it's pretty obvious. Now, I'm not going to be teaching this next section just after the carousel. It's a very, very short run up to Hohe Acht, so I think you guys can probably work this out for yourselves. Let's not even go into this. It's a very, very simple little left-right section. All you've got to learn is maybe 3 or 4 corners. So carousel to Hohe Acht, just have a go at this section, work it out on your own, it's dead simple. But from here, you see how we're going over a crest of a hill now? This is Hohe Acht. In fact, you'll see a little post here, always spectators. I walk through the woods here, it takes about half an hour from the nature reserve car park to end up at this section here. It's a long old walk through the woods, but very, very popular spectator spot. And so you've now crested that hill. From this point onwards, we're pretty much going gradually downhill until we get to the end of this whole section. So now we've gone round Hohe Acht. From here, imagine that small tree, medium tree, big tree. This is the section I'm on about. So we're going in a straight line, small tree, we're going to go round it, medium tree, round it, bigger tree, or biggest tree, round that. So see whether you know what I'm on about. So this section is actually called Hedwig's Hoe, just here. We're on that straight. Now imagine there's a small tree coming up right in front of us. So we have to go right, we have to go left. Tree's now on our left, imagine that. We've gone round the tree, we're back on a straight. So we're on another straight now, hopefully that's obvious. Now we've got the medium tree, imagine it's somewhere amongst here. So medium tree, we're going to go right. Obviously it's going to take longer because it's a bigger tree than before. And now we're going to go left. The tree is on our left now, our imaginary tree. Somewhere over here. And then we're going to go right again. So we've gone round the medium tree, we're back on another straight. Now we're going to go around the big tree, and you can see it's a much longer loop around this tree. But imagine it's somewhere in there, this imaginary tree. So we're going to go right. Takes ages. It's such a big tree that it takes ages before we go left. And in fact there's even a chicane in the middle of this left, but just forget that because all you're thinking is there's a big tree on your left. And it's still there on our left. And now we're back on a straight again. So the last one isn't quite such an obvious shape because as you go through Ice Curver and down here into Flansgarten 1, which is this first jump, it isn't quite an obvious right, left, right. It's more of a right, kind of left with a chicane. But by the time you've got there, you already know where you are. You're at the big tree and you've broken that whole section down. So let's just run through that one more time. Okay, so we're starting from Hohe Acht. We're cresting the top of the hill with a little hut. We're going to do the 90-degree right and then we're on the first straight. We'll do it just a little bit quicker this time. So we're on the first straight, heading towards the small tree. So small tree somewhere in front of us here. We're going to go right, left, right. So we go right, trees on our left, round we go. We've done the first tree, heading towards the second tree, the medium tree. We're going round the tree, it's on our left. Now we've gone round the tree, so now we're on the next straight. Large tree is straight in front of us. So we go round the large tree, it's going to take a lot longer. So we're going round it, it's still on our left. It's still on our left, still there, it's still on the left because it's so big, and now we've gone round it. And then the next landmark is Flansgarten 1, the first jump, and then we're on to a different section of track which we can learn another time. I hope that made sense. So there you have it guys, there's my tree method which I stole from James Auld, who is one of my good friends who won his class in a caterum at Nürburgring 24 hours a couple of times many years ago. So please let me know if there's anything else you'd like to know about the best track in the world.